this sort of idea that Trump is doing this as a counter elite. That phrase has been floating around. Elon Musk has been referring to himself as a counter elite. You don't counter the elites if you're a billionaire. There are no billionaire counter elites. He just means he's an alternate group of elites. You know, his buddies are a different group. We're the new elites, but spelled with like an N and a U with an umlaut over top of it, right? Now, the mess, ladies and gentlemen, the Dinesh D'Souza is back. And he wants to let us know why these people are so anti-establishment. You know, like the Constitution, which is established, and these, you know, because we believe these self-evident and all that. You know, the establishment clauses being what they are, the establishment of a constitution. You even establish a constitution. You know, it's part of the process. But boo, establishment. Nothing established. Everything must go. Like, welcome to the new Jacobins.
Here's Bill Kristol. If Trump gets his way, we will have a defender of war criminals as Secretary of Defense. A Russian lackey as Director of National Intelligence. A criminal running the Department of Justice. And a crank promoter of quack remedies in charge of HHS. So you can see right here, these are the people. Not everybody's digging in. But these guys are digging in.
Sorry. Are some? You mean the people who were criticizing Trump before the election are still criticizing him after the election, and just because he won doesn't mean we think he's right all the fucking sudden? The mess? He's right. Bill Kristol is right. And the response by some of the voters who voted for this asshole when they're seeing him putting up people like Matt Gaetz and RFK Jr. is like, oh shit, this is serious. Well, yeah, now a warning.
Now, Kristol has a second quotation which I want to read because this quotation actually gets a little closer to the truth of the matter. The first one is the usual hyperbolic, propagandistic nonsense.
No, it's not hyperbolic at all. Matt Gaetz is under an ethics investigation for sex trafficking a fucking minor. There are witnesses, multiple witnesses. One of his buddies went to jail over it, for his part in it. It's not hyperbole. It's not a joke.
Sense that we're accustomed to getting from Kristol. It's basically his bread and butter. And quite honestly, I think the guy knows better. He's an operator. You know, he's a guy who would go to work for Goebbels if he had to.
That's not hyperbole at all. Bill Kristol would go to work for Goebbels if he had to. Obviously, you know, I don't know what constitutes had to. Gun to the head, family in a basement. Unless you do some work for me, they get. I'm going to set fire of them. Kind of had to, or just like either that or take a cut and pay. Good Lord.
If it paid well enough. But here.
Oh, I see. Good, nice caveat.
Here's Bill Kristol. This is a negation of government. An act of nihilism directed at the central function of each of our government agencies. This sets the theme for Trump's second administration, in which he is clearly setting out to break our whole constitutional order.
Yes, he is the ad absurdum version of the I would say the essence of the modern Republican Party, which is government can't do anything right. Elect me and I'll prove it. Donald Trump seems dedicated to the idea of running the federal government in such a way that it becomes completely useless, which seems to be right on fucking brand with the rest of his. He's going to Trump stakes the federal government. He's going to, you know, Taj Mahal Casino the FBI. That's the point. He's not being elected because he's successful in making things run well. He's successful at collapsing things that should be that should succeed on their own, that almost magically succeed in the face of most attacks. This guy can manage to fuck up a free lunch.
Yes and no. Trump is not trying to break our Constitution.
Thanks. At least you're not riding both sides of the fence there, banana shirt.
Order. He's actually trying to restore our constitutional order. But he is trying to break the modus vivendi, the way of doing things, the way of life that has been established by the Biden-Harris regime and really by the Democrats. They have created...
I'm sorry, so that system did not exist during Trump's last term. The deep state just kind of vanished? Is that the idea?
An establishment with an establishment's own way of doing things. And so when Bill Kristol says this is a negation of government, it is. It is a negation of government in that sense, the kind of government that these people have set up. An act of nihilism directed at the central function of each of the government agencies. Absolutely correct. So nihilism here, though, is nihilism.
Yes. Explain to us it's a kinder, gentler nihilism, the mess.
The word itself means kind of nothingness. But what we mean...
No, it doesn't. All right, everybody go watch The Big Lebowski.
By nihilism is something different. What we mean is we want to blow up these agencies from the inside, and that can...
Yeah. By the way, I agree. Bill Kristol is giving you the benefit of the doubt that there's kind of just a pointlessness to what you're talking about. You're not nihilists. You're fucking anarchists. We had situations where we didn't have any of these systems. And we had polio outbreaks and tuberculosis, and nobody had fucking shoulder strap seatbelts or airbags. The population was way smaller, and I have a feeling that's where the nihilism part comes in. You're anarchists. You just think shit. This is the same stuff we hear from the Susan Sarandon progressives. If we just burn it down, something amazing will emerge in its place, because that's the only thing in the way of things running right is somebody trying to make it run right. It's like it won't work. It won't work, stupid. It never does. It never will. Go back and read all that shit with the CIA doing experiments in the late 50s, early 60s, where they were trying to do like personality tests where they could burn somebody down to the ground and eliminate all of their personality and possibly turn them into a killing machine. That was the big fear because they thought the Soviets were onto the same thing. It didn't work. It never worked. And it certainly doesn't work for a fucking society. And I got news for you. Here's the biggest thing that these assholes will be up against. That America is doing better than the rest of the world post-pandemic. Still recovering from a pandemic. And this whole things should be cheaper and easier. I'm like, sorry. We are in a situation where we are recovering from a pandemic. If you don't want to bring up the pandemic when you're talking about prices, I know I'm not having a serious conversation with anybody. Okay? But America right now, the groove everybody is in is get on with it and leave me the fuck alone. And you wait till the federal government, with his big plans to either take away a guardrail that people didn't know they counted on all the time, or to implement some sort of overarching monarchical policy that'll go, what the fuck are you doing here? Get out. That's the reaction he's going to get from the public at large. Welcome back to the era of big government and big cacistocratic government. Not only is this government going to be ginormous, it's going to be run by complete morons. That's his plan. Again, government can't do anything right. Elect me and I'll prove it. That's the phrase. That's always what Republicans are selling. That's the point they are always trying to prove.
Can be done in a number of ways. Shutting them down is obviously one way. Decentralizing them is another way. You scatter them, force all the people.
Okay, first of all, fuckwad, we have a decentralized government. We have a federal system with enumerated states' rights. They have a lot of flexibility, a lot of leeway. The fucking FBI can't even come in to do an investigation on a crime that's gotten out of their hands unless the locals fucking invite them. We don't have a centralized government. We have a coordinating government for big projects, interstate highway system, shit like that, the FAA, right? Because I don't want fucking Oklahoma to have a different system for tracking flights than the rest of the country.
Who live in Washington, D.C. Hey, by the way, your agency is now in Provo, Utah. So you might want to...
Where Melvin and Barbara Stanwyck live. Yeah.
Be looking for homes in Utah if you want to keep working, because none of this remote working either. You got to show up 5 days a week. And then there are many other techniques.
Hey, asshole. Federal workers aren't remote working like that. Federal contractors are. Those are the private parts of the business. What the shit?
That I fully approve of to...
Jim Swarthout, by the way. If you're looking for property, yeah. This is Mr. Igor Stravinsky. Well, hello, Mr. Stravinsky. Yeah, I was talking to Alan about that property you sold him, and $3 million sounded like a good deal to me. But what was that? Excuse you? Well, then I have been very misinformed.
Demoralize bureaucrats. One way is just making them feel utterly worthless, making them feel like their lives are meaningless, making...
What are you going to do? Teach a class? And ladies and gentlemen, in our attempt to demoralize the entire federal workforce, we have your demoralization coach, a man who can tell you what it's like to feel completely worthless, mostly, you know, and if he's not able to sell, Dinesh D'Souza, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody can explain to you what it feels like to just feel useless and have everybody, when he shows up, go, oh, rats. And if you don't really get that after a little bit, then we'll have Debbie come in, and his wife, and she'll talk to you the way she talks to him in bed. And I mean, that if that doesn't make you quit the federal workforce, would you be interested in joining Space Force?
Them feel like they're completely unappreciated. You got to remember that these are self-important, pompous asses, and a lot of them aren't even doing it purely for the money. They're doing it for the power. They love the idea of that.
What? Yeah, that unlike the Trumps, who are doing it completely just out of a sense of service.
They've got a badge,
nice,
they've got
Josh.
a lanyard, they've got a big briefcase, and they've got a bunch of papers, and they walk around looking to the left and right as if to say, here I come.
That's the end of it? That's the end of the video. Seriously, I think either he uses like an AI editor that just on its own goes, all right, that's enough. If I watch any more of this, I will want to destroy humanity. Or his editor literally does that. Like, okay, enough already. Like, it's almost like that's whoever he sends his clips out. Like, cut me some clips from this stuff. The editor literally just like edits by watching with a clicker. Like, I can't take anymore. This is bullshit. All right, 2 minutes, 59 seconds. 3 minutes? Okay. I couldn't make it. It's 2 minutes and 59 seconds. He couldn't even make it to 3. He's like, get out. And again, meaningless jibber jabber.